The Galactic Council Hall was filled with light and sound. Beings from many worlds sat in a wide circle, floating chairs glowing softly under them. This council decided the future of new species. Today, they were here to judge one small world from the edge of the galaxy. That world was called Earth. At the center of the hall, a large screen turned on. Blue oceans, green land, and white clouds appeared. The image slowly zoomed in, showing small figures walking on two legs. "Next subject," said the High Speaker, his voice calm and cold. "Earth's prototype species." Some council members leaned forward. Others already looked bored. The screen changed. Humans appeared. Small. Soft. No armor. No sharp claws. No thick skin. A low sound moved through the hall. It was laughter. "They are tiny," said a tall insect-like being. "Is this a joke?" "They have no natural weapons," another voice said. "No poison. No horns. No armor." The laughter grew louder. A reptilian counselor shook his head. How did this species survive at all? The High Speaker raised a hand, but even he looked amused. Earth is a low-threat world. The species relies on tools and shelter. Their bodies are weak. On the screen, a group of humans was shown inside a clean observation chamber. They wore simple clothes. Their faces looked calm, almost bored. "They look nervous," one council member said. "They should be," another replied. "They are surrounded by superior minds." More laughter filled the hall. The humans were part of a standard test. Food would be placed in the chamber. Their behavior would be studied. This test had been done thousands of times with other species. The council already knew the result. Fear. Panic. Submission. "Begin food observation," the High Speaker ordered. Inside the chamber, a small platform rose from the floor. On it sat food from Earth. Meat. Cooked vegetables. Simple human meals. The humans noticed it. One human stepped closer. He stopped. His body became still. The council did not notice at first. They were busy talking. "Look how slow they are," someone said. "They hesitate even with food," another laughed. "No survival drive." But one scientist frowned. He leaned closer to his screen. "Is it just me," he said quietly, "or did the human's eyes change?" No one answered. The human did not rush. He did not grab the food. He only stared at it. His pupils slowly grew wider. Sensors blinked on a small side panel. Heart rate increased. Focus levels rose. The scientist's eyes widened. "That is strange." "What is strange?" asked a counselor without interest. "The focus response," the scientist said. "It is very sharp." "Probably hunger," another replied. "Ignore it." The human moved again. Slowly. Carefully. Like he was measuring distance. The laughter in the hall continued. "Earth's prototype is a failure," the High Speaker said. "No threat value detected." Behind him, the alert system flickered once, then twice. "Predator focus detected." The scientist froze. "That alert should not be active," he whispered. On the screen, the human reached for the food at last. His face was calm. His body relaxed. But his eyes stayed wide and locked. Watching. Calculating. Still, the council laughed. They did not see it. Not yet. And that mistake would change everything. The laughter inside the Galactic Council Hall slowly faded. Not because the council had changed its mind, but because something felt wrong. The scientist stood frozen, his eyes locked on the warning panel. "Predator focus detected," the system repeated in a calm artificial voice. "That is impossible," the High Speaker said. "Humans are not predators." "They eat plants," another counselor added. "They cook their food. That is prey behavior." The scientist swallowed. "Yes, but predators do not always attack. Some wait." The High Speaker turned back to the screen. "Continue observation." Inside the chamber, the human sat down near the food. He did not eat right away. He picked up a small piece, smelled it, then placed it back down. His eyes never stopped moving. They followed the smallest motion. A shadow. A reflection. Even the soft hum of the chamber lights. The system displayed more data. Focus level, rising. Reaction readiness, active. Threat awareness, high. This must be an error, a reptilian counselor said. Reset the sensors. The scientist pressed a command. Nothing changed. Instead, another alert appeared. Visual tracking precision, extreme. The human finally ate. Slowly, calmly. No panic. No fear. That is not normal prey behavior, the scientist said. Enough, the high speaker replied. They are just cautious. At that moment, a small maintenance drone floated near the glass wall of the chamber. It moved quietly, fixing a light panel. The human's head turned. Instantly, his pupils widened even more. The drone stopped. The human stared at it, completely still. His body did not tense. His breathing stayed slow. But his eyes, they locked on. The council went silent. What is he doing? Someone whispered. The drone moved again. The human's gaze followed it perfectly. No delay. No confusion. The scientist's voice shook. That is tracking behavior. Tracking what? Asked the high speaker. Prey, the scientist answered. The word hung in the air. That is impossible, another counselor said. Humans are not hunters. They have no claws, said one. No fangs, said another. No speed, a third added. The scientist nodded slowly. But predators do not always need claws. The drone finished its task and floated away. The human relaxed. His pupils slowly returned to normal. The system alerts faded, one by one. The council members released the breath they did not realize they were holding. You see, the high speaker said. Nothing happened. But the scientist did not smile. That human did not attack, he said. Because he did not need to. The council frowned. What do you mean? The high speaker asked. He was not afraid, the scientist said. He was aware. The screen changed. Data from Earth appeared. Early humans. Running. Chasing animals across long distances. They are not fast, the scientist continued. They are patient. The council watched in silence. They follow. They wait. They observe, the scientist said. They hunt with endurance. That is ancient history, the high speaker replied. Yes, the scientist said. But instincts do not disappear. Inside the chamber, the human finished eating. He wiped his hands and leaned back. Then, slowly, he looked straight at the observation glass. Straight at the council. Even though he could not see them. His eyes narrowed slightly. The council members felt a strange sensation. Like they were the ones being studied now. The scientist spoke softly. Earth's prototype may not be weak, he said. It may simply be pretending. And for the first time since the session began, no one laughed. The council hall stayed silent after the human looked toward the glass. No one laughed now. The high speaker cleared his throat. That was coincidence, he said, but his voice lacked strength. The scientist did not answer. He was busy pulling more data from the Earth archives. Bring up human vision analysis, he said. A large image appeared. It showed a human eye. Then it zoomed closer. The pupil expanded and contracted. Human pupils change size, the scientist explained. Not only for light. They react to interest. Interest in what? Asked a counselor. The scientist paused. Food. Movement. Threats. The screen changed again. Old recordings played. Humans watching animals. Humans watching each other. Humans watching enemies. Each time, the pupils widened. These changes happen without thought, the scientist said. It is instinct. A feathered council member shifted uneasily. Instinct from what role? The scientist answered slowly. From being both hunted and hunters. Murmurs spread across the hall. That is impossible, a reptilian counselor said. A species cannot survive as prey and predator. They can, the scientist replied. If they adapt. Inside the observation chamber, the human stood up. He stretched his arms and rolled his shoulders. He looked relaxed. Too relaxed. A guard drone passed close to the glass. Its shadow moved across the floor. The human noticed it instantly. His body did not move. Only his eyes did. Pupils widened. Focus sharpened. The system reacted again. Predator state, active. Attack readiness, low. Control level, high. The high speaker leaned forward. Explain that. The scientist took a slow breath. The human is holding back. Why? Someone asked. Because he does not feel threatened, the scientist said. And because he understands control. The council watched as the human slowly turned away from the drone. His pupils returned to normal. He could attack, the scientist said. But he chooses not to. Fear crept into the hall. Show Earth survival history, the high speaker ordered. The screen filled with harsh images. Ice ages. Storms. Wild animals. War. Humans running for hours. Humans bleeding but standing. Humans protecting each other. They did not win by strength, the scientist said. They won by endurance. A clip showed humans tracking an animal for an entire day. They never stop, the scientist continued. They follow until the prey collapses. But they are weak, a counselor whispered. Yes, the scientist said. Individually. Inside the chamber, another human joined the first. They exchanged a few quiet words. Their eyes scanned the room without panic. Together, the scientist said, they are dangerous. The high speaker's scales darkened. Why did our scans miss this? Because humans hide it, the scientist replied. They learned to appear harmless. The council looked back at the human on the screen. He smiled. It was small, calm, friendly, but the scientist felt cold. That expression, he said. It is not fear. It is confidence. The high speaker slowly sat back. End the observation. Before the command could be sent, the human raised his head again. He stared at the glass. This time, he held the gaze longer. His pupils widened just a little. Enough to be seen. The predator alert did not activate. Because this time, the system had learned. Threat classification updated. Human, latent predator. The hall fell into complete silence. The high speaker spoke at last. Earth's prototype, he said quietly, is not what we thought. And deep inside the council, a new feeling began to grow. Not laughter. Fear. The Galactic Council no longer laughed. The hall felt smaller now. Darker. Even though the lights had not changed. The high speaker looked at the updated classification on the screen. Human, latent predator. He remained silent for a long moment. Begin full Earth analysis, he finally said. The scientist nodded and opened deeper records. These files were rarely used. They showed not just biology, but history, behavior, and survival patterns. Images filled the air. Early humans standing against cold winds. Humans walking across burning deserts. Humans crossing oceans on weak wooden ships. They should have died, a counselor whispered. But they didn't, the scientist replied. The screen showed humans hunting large animals. Not with speed. Not with strength. With patience. They chased prey for hours, the scientist said. Sometimes days. A graph appeared. Human stamina. Extreme. Pain tolerance. High. Fear response. Controlled. They feel fear, the scientist explained. But they move anyway. Another image appeared. Humans fighting other humans. Why would a species fight itself? A counselor asked. Because conflict shaped them, the scientist answered. It made them adaptable. The council watched scenes of war. Cities destroyed. Humans helping each other in ruins. They destroy, the scientist said. And then they rebuild. Inside the observation chamber, the humans were now allowed to walk freely. Guards stayed at a distance. The humans spoke quietly. They laughed. They looked relaxed. They do not know, a counselor said. They do not know we are afraid. Yes, the scientist replied. That is the most dangerous part. The high speaker stood. Explain their eyes. The scientist brought the image back. Human eyes evolved to track, he said. Not just animals. Intent. Intent, the high speaker repeated. They notice small changes, the scientist continued. Movement. Breathing. Tension. Inside the chamber, a guard shifted his stance. One human glanced at him instantly. The guard froze. That, the scientist said softly, is awareness. The council felt it now. The sense of being watched. Measured. They are not aggressive, the high speaker said. No, the scientist agreed. They are selective. The screen showed humans living peacefully. Families. Music. Art. They prefer calm, the scientist said. But they prepare for violence. The high speaker's voice dropped. If threatened. The scientist did not answer right away. He showed one final clip. Humans defending their home world. Standing against overwhelming force. Refusing to surrender. They do not run, the scientist said. They adapt. They endure. Then they strike. Silence filled the hall. The high speaker slowly lowered himself into his chair. We labeled them a prototype, he said. A failure. Yes, the scientist replied. And they survived anyway. Inside the chamber, one human noticed the guards again. He gave a small nod. Not fear. Acknowledgement. They know, a counselor whispered. Don't they? The scientist nodded. They always know. The high speaker closed his eyes for a brief moment. Change Earth status, he ordered. The system responded. Earth, protected observation world. Human species, do not provoke. The council members felt a strange mix of relief and worry. Relief that humans were calm. Worry about what would happen if they were not. The high speaker spoke one final sentence. We should be grateful, he said, that they choose restraint. And deep within the council, one thought echoed clearly. Earth was never weak. It was patient. The Galactic Council Hall was quiet. No screens played jokes now. No voices mocked Earth. The high speaker stood slowly and faced the chamber where the humans waited. They must be released, he said. Return them safely. No one argued. Inside the observation chamber, the doors opened with a soft sound. The humans looked up, surprised but calm. A translation device activated. You are free to leave, a gentle voice said. The humans exchanged looks. One of them smiled. About time, he said. They walked out without fear. Without anger. As if this moment was expected. The council watched carefully. No sudden moves. No signs of threat. But the scientist noticed something important. As the humans walked past the guards, their eyes moved quietly. They saw everything. The exits. The weapons. The positions. Prepared. Yet peaceful. They could have escaped earlier, the scientist said softly. Yes, the high speaker replied. But they chose not to. That choice mattered. As the humans reached the exit, one of them stopped. He turned around. His eyes met the main viewing lens. For a brief moment, his pupils widened. Not in hunger. Not in fear. In understanding. Then they returned to normal. The human gave a small nod and left. A strange feeling spread through the council. Respect. The high speaker returned to his seat. Record this moment, he said. For future councils. The system activated. Final classification update. Human species. Status: controlled predator. Behavior: cooperative. Threat level: conditional. One counselor spoke carefully. If they are predators, why did they not attack? The scientist answered, because predators do not waste energy. Another asked, why did they smile? Because they were confident, the scientist said. The high speaker looked toward the image of Earth still floating on the screen. They survived storms, beasts, and themselves, he said. They learned patience. The screen showed humans laughing, building, exploring stars. They do not seek war, the high speaker continued, but they will finish it. Silence followed. Finally, the high speaker spoke the words that would be remembered across the galaxy. Earth's prototype was never a failure, he said. It was a test. A test of endurance. A test of control. A test of restraint. And humanity passed. The council recorded a final note. Never judge a species by its silence. Never mistake calm for weakness. As the hall lights dimmed, the scientist looked once more at the human data. They laughed at Earth's prototype, he said quietly, until they understood the eyes. The council agreed on one final truth. Humans were not dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because they could choose not to be. And the galaxy would remember that choice.